problem with sugar is my body doesn't know how to handle sugar. When I would eat it, it doesn't know how to do an off switch. It doesn't have an off switch to sugar. When I eat a carb, it would just just keep on and keep on and keep on. It would just eat. It's just like, hey, just keep eating it. But whenever I would eat meat or anything, it's just like, whatever. I was trying to explain it to my wife. Yeah, I was like, it's kind of like drinking a soda versus water. When you drink a soda, you get that fizzy and the sugar, and it's just like, ooh, that tastes good, and you just want to drink some more and more of it. But when you drink water, it's like it just quenches a thirst, or kind of wets your mouth, and you just it just kind of is like, okay, I'm done. But when you drink a soda and it has that fizzy and you have that sugar, it's just like you just want to drink it, and you want to drink more of it, and you want a little bit more, and it's like you don't just drink a little bit of it and you're just done. And that's kind of the way food is. When you're with me, with eating a carb, you eat a little bit of it and you just don't know how to just turn it off. But when you eat a meat, it's just like, okay, it's all right, I've had enough. And it's when I started doing carnivore, it's like you realize those things, and you can actually feel it, and you can see it, and you can understand it. And when it's not there, when you don't have the carbs, you can actually understand it. And after a while, you don't crave it, you don't want it. And I found when you have your senses all stimulated and things, like whenever I would go into a Buc-ee's or anything like that, when I go in with my wife and kids into the Buc-ee's, normally it's like my senses would be so overwhelmed whenever I go in there that I'd be so tempted to try this or try that, because it would be just so overwhelming, because I'd want something of that. But then after being on this for 30 days, it was like I went in there in May after being in there, I think it was after 30 days, and walked in there, and it's like, it just doesn't, I don't want it, I don't need it, it just doesn't, I don't have to have it. And before, I would have walked in there and I would have been like, no, I want one of those, sandwiches, or I want one of those, Danishes, or I want one of those things. I want to try it. I want to, partake in that. And it's just really weird how the whole addiction thing really works. And I didn't realize it until I actually removed it. And it's because of this whole research I did for my wife, and it's probably saved my life, really, because of what I did for her. And I just hope that, other people out there can do it too. That other people will go out there and, try to do it for themselves, that they will actually go out there and try to make a change for them, because the food industry really has pulled the wool over our eyes, and they started it way back in the 70s, and in the late 70s and early 80s. It was my body that did it to me. There's some people that can tolerate it. There's some people that can do they can eat whatever they want. I'm kind of tired of the people out there that are just like, just do it in moderation. Just do, all you need to do is just, a fistful of this, or, just the size of your hand, or that's all you need to do. But you don't go up to an alcoholic and say, all you need to do is just take a little shot of whiskey and you'll be all right. Just take a sip of wine and you'll be okay. Just do it in moderation. When somebody's addicted or their body doesn't know how to handle a carb or a sugar, you don't go up to them and say, just take a piece of cake. But people look at you like you're crazy if you decide, for yourself, I don't want to do that. I don't want to, I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm not going to take part of it. For myself, I am not going to eat carbs. As somebody who is has a problem with addiction, as somebody who has a problem with those things, well, for myself, I decide that I cannot handle those things, and I'm going to cut those out of my life. And then people are like, well, you got to have those things because that's a balanced diet, or that, you got to have that in your life because, there's no way you can survive, that you're not going to get the vitamins you need. I think a lot of it has to do with somebody's guilt, because they don't want to feel guilty for what they're doing to themselves, that they don't want to feel guilty for how they're eating. I know it's like, what do you mean? Well, nobody stops you when you're sitting there eating, a combo meal that's like, a double cheeseburger, fries, and, when you're sitting there basically killing yourself and you're 400 pounds or more and you're, gorging out on all this food. They're not sitting there going, you shouldn't do that, that's killing you. But when you're sitting there and all of a sudden you're just eating meat and you're trying to do better for yourself, and all, they're like, well, you ought to eat a something like a salad with that, or you ought to eat, a vegetable with that. They don't want to feel guilty or feel uncomfortable because you're doing something to make yourself better. Just saying. Because now you're, not doing something to them that's normal. You're not doing the normal diet. I was watching some people talk about how, that are doing like the carnivore, and they went to a restaurant and they're like, the waitresses and everything were pushing bread on them, or they're pushing this or pushing, they're like, are you sure you don't want this? Are you sure you don't want that? I can bring you this. Or they're like, no, I just want this. And if you're not doing the, standard American diet or whatever, then it's almost uncomfortable or out of the norm. They even offered them like, well, we have gluten-free options. And I was like, what? Maybe it's they feel uncomfortable more than how you actually feel. Or why is one way of eating the right way of eating? Carnivore diet was working for me. Carnivore diet now is working for my wife. It may not work for you. There's people out there that can actually tolerate eating plants. Good for you. But why not me if it doesn't? As soon as I get something in me like that, it just goes off. As soon as I put a carb in my body, it just keeps going. I'm sorry, it just does. I can't handle them. I know I can't. When they're not there, I just don't crave it anymore. I'm going to keep coming out here and letting you know how I'm doing and giving you updates as far as how I'm doing and letting you know what's working and letting you know that it's never too late and letting you know that if you feel like you're addicted to carbs, or feel like your body can't control it, you can always gain control of your life.